Whether it be a gamepad or a joystick, the controller is the tool that is used to interact with the world that inhabits the devices we play on. For as long as there were games, there would always exist some means of input to play those games with. Which is a big no duh right there. Really, it would not be much of a game if it was just someone standing there and watching the whole time. Now would it? That would be movies! Anyway, for as long as there have been video games, there have been controllers of varying shapes and sizes. Especially in the early days when the video game industry itself was less experienced, which resulted in all kinds of designs back then. Though with that said, the design that would become so prevalent in gaming would start with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or SNES for short. But I'm not necessarily referring to the SNES itself, but rather its controller. You see, back then, before Sony made their iconic PlayStation consoles, the company was actually collaborating with Nintendo at one point to create a CD-based add-on for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. During the development, things seemed to be going as planned. That was the case until suddenly Nintendo at the last minute decided to cancel their partnership with Sony and decided to pair up with Philips instead, which resulted in the very rare instance of Nintendo IPs appearing on non-Nintendo systems, especially home console ones. As during that time, to my knowledge, there were only a few games based on Nintendo properties that appeared on the PC, namely ones that featured Mario. But outside of that, this was a very rare instance of Nintendo IPs appearing on a non-Nintendo console. But getting back to Sony, after the announcement from Nintendo, they then tried to pair up with Sega, which at the time was the other big gaming company that were making their own dedicated gaming hardware. They ended up declining the offer due to Sony's inexperience with making software.